Broadcast live from our booth located inside the Masked Carnival. It is the official 7th Circle podcast, the Circlecast.
Hello, I'm Ray Dooku, the Back Alley Red Mage.
I am Nick. I'm the FC leader of 7th Circle.
I'm Riven. I'm the resident alcoholic.
And we are back with another Circlecast for folks. What we're going to discuss is just some story stuff about 4.5, some stuff that came out of the European Fan Fest, and a couple other things. But first are some Circle announcements. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so just real quick, we had 3 weeks worth of bird farming. It turned out really well. Everybody was showing up. We had full parties of FC members, and that was amazing. We got almost everybody, all the birds. We're doing one more run starting tomorrow, and we're gonna start with Sephiroth, and then move on to Sophia, and then Zurvan, and then we'll circle back around. Try to get everybody their birds this last week. If anybody doesn't get their bird this last week, we're not going to hold another official event, but because you don't need a full party really to farm anymore, the birds at least, which is Heaven Ward primals, we can just do like a party of 4 or 5 and then fill in the rest. So we don't have to worry about people being left out. And then coming on starting from there, we'll move on to dogs, the doggos from Stormblood primals. That I'm hoping we can have full parties. I'm sure a lot more people will be interested in that because it's current content, and you can also get weapons for your alts from Snake Guy. I can't even say Ryu. Who are the other guys? Whatever, you all know. So that's that. So that's the next official events that we have coming up. One thing I'd like to note is we have 57 members right now on the roster. And it's we're getting actually more and more active. In February or last month or January, since the last Circlecast that we've had 19 out of 57 people logged on, and that's a 33% attendance rate. That's really good. I'm hoping one day we can at least reach a 70%, but that would mean we would, if 50 out of 57, we would have to have 40 people logged in at once, which isn't impossible since Shadowbringers is coming up. I'm sure we're going to hit that. But to stay consistent, that will be awesome. 30% is great. I would be happy we can stick with that. Another thing, I've recently downgraded the... what's that rank? I can't even remember the rank that I created. The Preserve rank. Whenever people don't log in for a set amount of time, I kick them. And that amount of time is 365 days. Unless those people that aren't logging in let me know, say, hey, I'm just having some trouble, or I would like to not be kicked from the FC. At that point, I put him in the Preserve rank, and that used to be 550 days, and that was a year and a half of not logging in. So after 550 days, even if you told me you're coming back, I'm still going to kick you, because that hurts our log-on membership. We wouldn't have reached 30% login consistency if I allowed people to stay in past that time. So I've actually lowered it now instead of 550 to 500 days, and I'm going to even lower it sooner. Eventually, as we get more and more people in the FC, I'm going to lower it to... I'm not even going to create that Preserve rank. I'm just going to keep it permanent 365 days. Because there's a lot of FCs that have 100, 200, 300 members, but you only ever see 4 or 5 people logged in at a time, and that's really bad. I don't ever want to get to that. So I'm hoping to at least keep a consistent 30% to 70% login rate. That's what I would like. And you have to get rid of those people that just aren't playing anymore. Other than that, we got the doggos coming up. I already mentioned that. That's it. Nothing really new with the FC. I think we haven't had any new members that I can think of. Maybe one. No, not since the last Circlecast. I don't think we've had any new members. If we have any new members and I forgot, I deeply apologize. But that's it for me from the state of the FC. You guys have any questions?
No, nothing for me. All right. So yeah, just wanted to talk a little bit since it's been about a month and a half now. Figured talk a little bit about the 4.5 story. Basically, a lot went on. Still don't got it all. Got to wait till next month to get the second part. But so far, we had a few revelations. Had Mr. Shadow Hunter finally fully revealed.
Just real quick, Riven, you haven't. This won't be spoiler for you, right? Have you completed 4.5?
No, I'm kind of good.
You're good? Okay, so just a forewarning to anybody who hasn't completed 4.5. This is your official spoiler alert.
Okay, so yes, Shadow Hunter true identity revealed, as if we didn't know already as players.
I honestly didn't know. I don't really think too much about. I just let the story talk to me. I don't really.
I'm kind of away on that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, Gaius is back.
And I happen to be in the main story quest roulette right now, watching him die, quote unquote.
He just decided not to die.
Really quick note about the story, 4.5 story. Our FC member, oh my god, I can only think of his real name now. Usually it's opposite. You can't think of people's real name. Hold on, give me a moment. Go ahead and talk.
So yes, so we got Gaius. He brought back Alfie's body because he got called as well.
And I believe at this point, the main character is the only one left that didn't get called.
You got if you count her, still got Kryl walking around, but we need her for Eureka. So.
Oh right. But yeah, she's basically pulled out of the main story in order to make Eureka happen. So.
Yeah. So yeah, out of everyone, out of the Scions that are still in the main story, just us now.
Okay, so that member Xanados, which is Mary's husband in game. His character, he created a character profile, and Square Enix used that character he created in the 4.5 story. He's the doctor that talks to the blonde guy. I forgot the main villain right now, whatever his name is. The Emperor, his name. But yeah, there's a scene where the Emperor, with all the clones around, is talking to the doctor, and Xanados's character is there. They used his character.
Oh, did they? He win that contest a while back?
He did. So just keep that in mind as you go through the story, and you notice that guy. That's Xanados. Not his current character now, but back then.
His old character joined the Empire.
Tisk.
But if you're speaking of, so we saw Gaius, and then we got to see a little discussion with the current Emperor Varys, talking to the original Emperor. What was his name? Solus.
Yes, that was really cool to find out that the Empire was founded by the Ascians. That is a plot twist if I've ever heard one.
They basically took this random group of schmoes who had every reason to be upset and made them make an empire, and then he deliberately died in order to kick off a war of succession to destabilize everything and sow the seeds of chaos. And now he's back to be a dick or something. I don't know.
And he is an amazing dick.
Cemetery, but okay. Yeah.
That nasty.
I love that character though. He's actually he kind of reminds me of kind of an Imperial Kefka. Well, Kefka was Imperial, but
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of Kefka the way he's just flamboyant about.
But yeah, I found out that well, Varys isn't exactly happy with the arrangement, and also found out Solus muttering about doing stuff with the Black Rose.
You're talking about that poisonous stuff that just kills
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, yeah, the Black Rose.
That's right, the Black Rose.
Yeah. And we, it got used in one of the story things, right? Alphino and Gaius ran into it. They didn't get affected by it, but they ran into a group that had been attacked by it.
Yeah, that was prior to patch 4.5, right?
Yeah. Well,
That was the kind of the cliffhanger that they left us off. That was before we found out it was Guy.
But apparently he's gonna do something with it and use the like excess light coming into the source to do something with it.
yeah, I mean, we already know that there's going to be some kind of disaster involved because that's like the entire premise behind the voice is like something's going to go very, very off kilter compared to what it should.
You think they're going to release the Black Rose upon Eorzea?
Supposedly, the thing is that we're supposed to be having too much light, and you would think that creating more chaos via releasing the Black Rose would be the opposite. But then again, light and dark aren't actually good and evil. You know, they're like different energies. So I don't know. Maybe killing a bunch of people who are aligned with the light actually releases light, not darkness.
Do actually have a theory about that, but that'll be a bit later for like what comes in 5.0. But
there's all sorts of whacked out theories for 5.0 going on.
Yeah. But after that, we had the little meeting with Varys, with all the GC leaders.
Yeah, that was a shit show of a meeting, wasn't it?
I'm just glad they only gave Merle Webb 2 speaking lines, because the voice actor they picked up after they ditched the originals is just criminal.
I do miss the original voice actor. She had more of a tough sounding grit to her. This new one is more feminine. It just doesn't seem like it fits Merle Webb.
It's too generic.
Yes. How dare an admiral sound like a normal person?
She's a pirate.
She should be angry and saying something about grog
All the time.
all the time.
So yeah, so during the meeting they sit down and wag their finger at Varys, and Varys is like, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, look at you, bunch of degenerates.
1,000 years ago, you took our lands. Okay, fucker. What does that have to do?
Yeah, he points out a bunch of pseudo-hypocrisies, which are things that only look like hypocrisies if you don't actually, look at the whole situation involved. And I'm kind of surprised that none of the leaders really made good counterpoints for the most part. But there is a big theory about how his whole rant in general, because it's obvious he doesn't like the Asians, right? But during that meeting, he basically says a bunch of crap that's just going exactly along with what the Asians would want. So that's kind of a contradiction there. But one of the theories I've read about that is he's actually trying to make it obvious that the Asians are behind the Empire to the Alliance. Be like, yo, guys, I know you don't like the Asians. They're here. But if he actually came out and said it, that would create a problem for him.
Well, he did kind of come out and say it. It's basically he went on his long rant about, oh, we need to cause the convergence so all the races of man can become the singular perfect race, and then we can fight the Asians.
Right, but but like, it wouldn't make sense to do that to fight the Asians because he would know that that would empower the Asians, right? So like that's the crux behind the theory, right? Which is of course just a fan theory or whatever, but is the idea that him knowing that that would be playing right into their hands, he wouldn't actually do that, but by saying that he would, he could potentially convince the Alliance, or at least communicate to the Alliance that the Asians are behind it without cluing Solus into the fact that that's what he's trying to do. Because Solus would just fucking, kill his ass and make a clone and take it over or some shit. Like, he wouldn't care about keeping him alive.
It's a theory.
Yeah.
It's fun to theorize.
So we had our little meeting. It went poorly. We went to war, and we beat Varys's little bodyguards, who were super easy, and now there is but one. Because Alice decided to take a nap too.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they wake up eventually because of the trailer that we saw at the fan fest. So I wonder when.
There's a few clues though in the trailer that make me wonder because a couple of notes like the Gunbreaker class is an Aether using class. Our current fan cred cannot use Aether, but he was doing stuff that would be Aether using in the trailer.
Yeah.
Shola did not appear to be blind. Her condition was permanent. It was like a soul condition more than a body condition, right? It's like, how do they fix that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, we'll talk about that 5.0 stuff here in a bit, but as far as the 4.5 story.
Right. So the current state is they are unconscious, and all we know is something bad is supposed to be happening.
Yep.
They have to wake up. They have to wake up during the next patch, though, because they're in the trailer. So we know that Thancred.
That was my point, though, is it doesn't necessarily have to be the same people because we already know that there's multiple shards of reality.
Right, because the original Warriors of Darkness from Heaven's Ward, right?
Right.
And that also comes into play because we saw Menphilia. It may not be the original Menphilia, but like an interdimension.
It could be like from one of the other shards, or like, and there's of course the time travel theories. Like, but so far the world has only shown forward travel in time, not backwards travel in time.
I mean, we could be those Warriors of Darkness that we encountered in Stormblood.
That could be what they mean when they referring to us being the Warriors of Darkness, is that we come from a light-filled world, and then we're going to some other shard to do what the Warriors of Darkness themselves tried to do.
But yeah, so yeah, a lot of cliffhanger stuff that we're gonna have to wait a month to find out what the issue is and how we're gonna deal with it.
I love this story so much. I can't wait. Is there a release date for the second half?
Not quite yet, but it's supposed to be end of next month at some point. They said just after the Fan Fest, which is really weird in Japan, which is really weird because you think they would do it after they do the patch, but... But anyway, since we didn't talk about it last time too much because it wasn't quite out yet, thought I'd bring up Blue Mage since everybody's had a good chance with it. Just final impressions on it.
Sassy power leveled me to 50. She would not accept it any other way. I was okay just chilling and relaxing with it, but no, she had to run through level 50 zones.
Well, it seems to me like the blue mage experience is supposed to not really be about the leveling. Like the leveling's more of a tutorial anyway. It's like almost all of the spells are only at level 50, and all the actual content that's for blue mage is at level 50. They accelerate your XP like crazy on it to try to get you through it even faster.
The true end game with blue mage though is the glamour, and I am loving my glamour. I'm at the FC house right now. If you guys want to see it.
I have to admit, I got my blue mage to 50, and I tinkered a little bit and didn't really care to go much further. Like, I don't know, like it's all right, but they worked so hard to cleave it really close to more of the single player blue mage style that I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it really fits that well in an MMO experience, even as a limited job. Because they have weird contradictions in there. For example, like they say, oh, it's supposed to be super overpowered, but it actually is weaker than any other class pretty much. You can't even really use it for cheesing old content because half the bosses are immune to all the good moves that would cheese them.
That's what I was always weirded out about. They're saying they didn't want to include blue mage in regular content, party level content, because like they're worried about like a level 5 death, for example, will kill a boss. There's not a single boss in this game that is susceptible to stun and stuff like that. You know, like so. Why couldn't they just work around that? You know, and just I don't get it.
I think the thing they were actually worried about more was people needing to actually go get their abilities. But I mean, we already have that issue because they don't require that you have completed your job quests and stuff, or even that you are a job before you queue for things. But people don't seem to have trouble going out of their way and going and getting their job quests done. So
you literally only have to watch it too. Like in 11, it was a lot harder to get it. The rate at learning it was a lot lower, and you actually had to get hit by the mob. You had to like attack the mob several times. And in this one, it's just you have somebody hit the boss, and you just watch it, and you're good. Like, and it's I don't know. They shouldn't have been. I'm not really upset that it's a limited job, but their excuses that they're giving us for it doesn't sit right with me.
And I would have been okay with the limited job thing if I felt like blue mage was just dramatically overpowered. But like aside from one or two cheese things that they didn't filter out, which for the most part they blocked off the good cheese techniques, it really just feels underwhelming even compared to playing a normal class at level. Just because like. You don't have a proper tank spec because you can't really take the hits as well as a tank could. You don't have the ability to like the heal is overpowered as heck. That one they've got right, but the damage isn't really there. So, like, is it just an endurance match class? Like, I mean, I'd rather just hop on a 70 and burn through everything. Maybe it'll be better when they extend blue mage's level higher, but as it stands, it doesn't feel like it's going to fit the run old content role unless they let it go all the way to whatever the current max is.
When I get bored enough, I'll go through and learn all the other spells. But for now, I'm just like, yeah, I hit 50. I glamoured it. It looks cool. That's about it. I completely forgot all about it.
So as a final thought on that stuff, more limited jobs, yay or nay?
I don't really. I mean, I don't care, to be honest. I'd be okay with limited jobs if they include party mechanics with other limited jobs. Like if they had a Beastmaster in the future and you can party up with a Blue Mage and do party content with them, even if it's specific to level, not part of the main storyline, it's more fun to play with people. It's an MMO.
Right, and when everybody is exactly the same, because there's only so many spells and most of them are garbage, it gets pretty dull pretty quick.
Okay. So next on the list, just talking about what was added in 4.55. Not a whole lot, just the new PvP Rival Wings thing and Eureka Hydratos. Anyone care about that?
I don't do PvP. Yeah, I don't do PvP. I haven't messed with Eureka since they first released it. I just haven't had the time. I've just been going through school and work and all kinds of stupid shit.
I came back to the game in 4.4, like late 4.4. So I've just basically been doing catch up, leveling other classes, stuff like that. I tinkered with Eureka a bit, but I very quickly realized it is a huge time sink for not a lot of reward. And so I decided it would be best if I just didn't spend my time there until I just didn't have other things to do at all.
However, Mary has offered her services to power level up, or at least get us like a good NM train. So I might turn that into an FC event. I'll talk to her about it. Like, just be like, hey, all day on a Sunday or Saturday, let's level up Eureka, because I do want to do the story. And I've seen the in the latest Hydratos, the Baldesian Arsenal. If you look on YouTube and you look up the Baldesian Arsenal OST, it's C from Final Fantasy XI. It's C. They have absolute virtue in the music, and it's like, oh man, that makes me want to go and get into it.
And that Ozma mount, though.
Right.
Oh,
and
man,
it sounds cool.
I guess this is kind of spoilers for the content, but did you guys see the videos for the total dick move from the Proto Ozma?
Yeah.
A mechanic that literally boots you from the dungeon.
Boots everybody from the dungeon that isn't stepping on the thing.
Yeah. And I think it's like 6 platforms that have to be stepped on, and if they don't have at least one person in each, everybody gets sucked out anyway.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. I've seen the videos, and overall it looks a bit more difficult than like a 24-man dungeon, but I would say doesn't look like as hard as like Extreme. Not quite that level, but...
Well, the thing that makes it annoying is that you have to have certain logograms to even get a chance, from what I understand. So, like, to fight Absolute Virtue, you must have been buffed with Bravery L. So somebody has to bring that, and everybody has to get buffed with it. If you're not, you just can't participate, pretty much. But you also can't use regular resurrections. You have to use the logogram ones. So that can limit your options pretty significantly. So a lot of people bring like the static set, which doesn't really have room for that Bravery L. So somebody has to make the sacrifice to be able to get people through the content.
Yeah, I heard there's been a lot of issues with folks fighting over getting in there too. You got like pre-mades trying to lord it over some folks, and then you've got randos mucking up the works for the pre-made, so it's been a big mess apparently.
Right. Well, the only issues that is happening is, I mean, pre-mades, you can fit like 50-something people in there, right? A pre-made of even 20-something people, that's not going to prevent solo players from getting in. But the issue they were having is, if you have a pre-made of 8 people and you want to get in, you have to go through the node or whatever that gets you in there, and there's no way to reserve it for a party of 8 or whatever, and then if a person steals your spot, you just can't get in. So now you have a group of people that wants to get in, and this would be fine with having some randos, but as long as their party of 8 can get in, but you can't really arrange that compromise. You can't say, hey, there's, 3 party of 8 that can be reserved, and then after that, it's free-for-all. It's just always free-for-all. And then you have some people who will go in and then just immediately leave. And that's reserving the spot, and nobody else can get in there to take that spot.
You think by now they would ask themselves, would this mechanic give the ability to have people be dicks? Because people are going to be dicks.
I mean, there's an argument to be made that, like, the optimal strategy is going to be pre-made, obviously. There's an argument to be made that if you make it so you have to be a dick to ensure that you're reaching that optimal strategy, that people are going to be dicks, right? You don't set people up to be in a situation, set people up for conflict like that.
Yeah.
I'm curious if this.
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm curious if this content will even be relevant once Shadowbringers comes out.
I'm sure it'll be 100% irrelevant.
That's the only thing I hate about these new MMOs. especially with 14. They introduced something. Seems like it would be a lot of fun, and you have to put a lot of time and grind into it, but it's gonna be fucking irrelevant real soon.
I mean, like, the solution that World of Warcraft had is just to nerf the old raids, right? Like, so that people can 2 or 4 man the one that's from last expansion and the one from the anything before that you can just solo. They like even change mechanics and stuff to make that happen. So like to use a Final Fantasy 14 analog, they if this were World of Warcraft way of handling it, they would have made it so Titan EX, you don't if you're in the jail, you could attack the jail, or like he just skips the jail entirely so that you could solo it. Like that would be the kind of change they would make, so that after 1 or 2 expansions of it being out of date, you just go in and do it. You don't even you don't have to put in the grind. You don't need to get a certain minimum number of people to make it past mechanic checks. You just go in and do it. But I don't know that 14 is quite old enough yet to have realized that they're going to need that. So we'll see if they figure that out before it becomes a huge problem.
All right, and speaking of people being dicks, new TOS.
Right?
Have you
guys? I did hear a statement from a GM about that portal sniping issue where people go into the arsenal and then just immediately leave to throw that spot away. And a GM did say that doing that, where you deliberately abandon the slot, is considered an act of griefing and could be covered under the new TOS. But just a random person going in because they want to participate and actually trying to participate, that's not a problem. Even though it's really annoying for pre-made, it's not considered against TOS. But yeah,
have you guys went over the new terms of service?
Yeah, the main concern I've seen is around the particular one of it being against the rules to attempt to coerce a playstyle.
That's the main one that a lot of people. Yeah. Oh, fucking Firefox is. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, if you hold down Alt and scroll on your mouse wheel, you go back and forth a page in Firefox. I'm trying to talk because I'm holding down the Alt button and scroll up and down. It keeps moving me from the page.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it, the one that you're talking about. Behavior that obstructs, no.
Yeah, you have to dig into a little bit to find it because it's in the specific wording of the full terms of service. But
yeah, I'm kind of just a wait and see type of mentality. I don't really think the GMs are going to start, be goose-stepping Nazis about rules and stuff. I don't think much is really going to change. Now, if something happens and they do end up overstepping the bounds, that'll be one thing. But it's just like right now, I don't see much. They gave them a few extra ways they can do stuff, especially with trade scams. The few legit ones they can actually do something about now. But otherwise, I don't see them going out of their way banning everyone for every little sneeze.
Yeah, and in particular, the one that people have a lot of concerns about, the one about coercing a playstyle, it doesn't happen often, so I mean, it's possible that a lot of these people haven't seen the instances, but I have, in fact, seen instances of people doing things like straight up refusing to pull when they're the tank because they don't like the rotation that one of the DPS is using, which, if it was like a savage 8-man or something, whatever, kick the guy who's not doing it because, you need people to be playing optimally. But this is stuff I have seen in 4-man dungeons. Like, I have straight up had a tank start trolling the team I was in because I watched the boss intro cutscene at the end of a dungeon before. And then he just sat there and refused to pull, or he would pull and then walk out of the gate right before it locked out in order to get the entire party killed aside from himself. And that kind of stuff is, I think, what they're referring to when they mean don't attempt to coerce a playstyle. Because they're attempting to force your hand in order to do what they want, before they'll allow everything to move on. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen often. I've run a lot of dungeons, and I've only seen that happen a couple times.
So the one,
but it really sucks when it does.
so what you're talking about, it's under their nuisance behavior, and it's specifically offensive expression. Offensive expression means an expression in general that inflicts emotional distress by being offensive to another person. And what you're talking about is expressions that compel a playing style. So,
Right, compelling.
yeah.
Right. Which is a pretty forceful word, really.
Or there's another one that's kind of that could lead to problems, is expressions that unilaterally reject another person's opinion. So you can get banned. Will they ban you for?
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things I don't think clarification would be nice, but until I see someone honestly getting screwed by it, I'm just going to say business as usual for the most part. Just don't be a dick.
Marissa's calling on you, or Sassy's calling on the other line. Give me a
Right. And there are examples of the like basically shutting somebody down with insults and which is probably what they're referring to with the disregarding opinions thing, where you don't actually attempt to counter what they say or anything like that, but instead you just be like, "Shut up, faggot," or something like that. I'm assuming that's the kind of thing they're referring to with that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's something I saw in World of Warcraft a lot, is people saying shit like that, and it just, it gets old really, really quick. I don't think I've seen that in this game, but I mean, if that was happening and the terms of service was not allowing them to take out action on it, then that obviously needed to change.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's anything going to be serious. It's just, like I said, business as usual. The GMs can actually step in and do some things that they couldn't do before for, actual problems. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big issue for as long as you're not a dick.
One of the things, though, that I think might make people more vocal against it is just some people don't realize how big of a dick they're actually being. Because I've legitimately met people who do not have the capability of understanding what a person receiving what they are doing would feel like. And they just believe, like, this is how I'm supposed to be allowed to act. What's the problem?
Yeah. Well, like I said, business as usual until proven otherwise. But with that, I think maybe time to talk about the European Fan Fest. Not a whole lot of new information, but did get confirmation on a few things, like one of the new jobs.
The Gunbreaker.
Yep. Got our Gunblade job. Can people shut up now?
Yeah, people are happy it's a tank job, so nobody's complaining.
I mean, I'm happy it's a tank as well, because, like, I kind of like tanking, but I feel Paladin's a little meh. Like, pretty plain, obvious flavor to have for a class. Dark Knight's a little edgelord, and Warrior is way too popular. So it's like, when people are looking for the two different tanks to make sure their limit break meter builds up, it's really easy to get two Warriors. And that's not something that a lot of teams are willing to take, because that'll eat their limit break meter. So I'm curious to try out that Gunbreaker job, because if that gives me two tank options that I can work with, that means, when pugging, I'll always have a job that I can come in that goes into that high demand slot without doubling up on a class.
Yep, and we'll have Gunblade users all over. Bunny Gunbladers.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're gonna have squalls running all over the place.
Bunny squalls. Because got the new race announcement too.
Curiously, they did not show any male Viera in the things, which has set off kind of a rumor mill.
Yes. Basically, Yoshi P was asked about it. It's like, oh yeah, we didn't mention anything about male Viera. Oh, I guess there's that, the Japanese Fan Fest coming up. That that's a thing. So moving on.
Do you think there's going to be male Vieira?
I kind of assume there will be, and that the model probably just wasn't ready yet for demo purposes. But because they had to make Fran earlier, right? Which meant they had to make the female model ahead of time, just so that the 24-man could go through. That probably got extra prioritization to get done earlier. It sounds like they're working real hard trying to hit that deadline for Shadowbringers right now. So it wouldn't surprise me if the models just weren't done yet for the male.
Do you think they may not even include a male model?
That's what one of the rumor mill things is, and one of the things that people have suggested is it's possible that they're going to do 2 different single gender races and have one that's female only and one that's male only. But it's all pure speculation, right?
A lot of people.
The classic Occam's razor would be this: they just weren't done with the males yet.
A lot of people are bringing up the lore from Final Fantasy 12, how similar to Mithra and Final Fantasy 11, there's only a handful of males born for every 100 females.
Well, so the issue with that is, in theory, that's already the way Makode are supposed to be. But we have 1 million males, and nobody really seems to care. So.
Yeah, well, the whole male race rumor wasn't helped by the fact that apparently one of the European translations had a little bug that when you talk to someone, they would mention, they're supposed to say your race's name when referring to you, but there was a bug that said all the races instead of just your race, and that included Vieira and something called Hrothgar.
Right.
So it'll be interesting we'll have to wait till the Japanese Fan Fest to see if we get male bunnies or if we get something else.
Right, which makes it sound like some kind of Viking race or something. Like,
isn't that a god in 14?
I don't know. I thought Skyrim when I first heard it. But yeah, we'll just have to wait until the next Fan Fest to see.
It's very much a Norse name, so if it was a race, then it would be some kind of large human type thing, which would be kind of weird, or it would be something from Norse mythology that took the name Hrothgar from it.
So I see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, it's the glitch. It's on Reddit right now. They're talking to Rowena, and Rowena's supposed to mention your race, but instead she mentioned, and it's in French.
Right.
She mentions it after Aura. So it goes Lalafell, Makot, Rogadin, Aura, Hrothgar, and then Vieira afterwards. Elizin. But they don't mention... Oh, they do mention here. Huh, so they do mention all that in Hrothgar is that last one. That's interesting. Maybe it's a Beastman tribe.
We're supposed to have, what, the Pixies or whatever, and then the Numo and the Dwarves, I thought were supposed to be these tribes.
Well, they'll most likely add more, right?
Well, they only had 3 for Heaven's Word and Stormblood each, right? I don't see why they'd have more than 3 for Shadowbringer, unless they're switching up the formula, but as we all know, typically Japanese developers don't switch up the formula just cause.
And
very, very interesting.
And then, speaking of the new zones, and they did show off some of the zones, the Vieira homeland looks very pretty. I like the mount they had in the trailer. It had capes.
Yeah, the new areas definitely all look like they'll be a lot of fun to run around in.
And then you had the area that had the pixies, who are supposed to be jerks, but not nearly insufferable as the Moogles are. And then they showed one of the primals.
Titania.
Yet another Beastman tribe that summons humans, basically. With Titania, right?
So, yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Titania Titania is exclusive to 14, right? I don't remember a Titania in any of the Final Fantasy games.
As something you fight, I think, but I think she's shown up in other stuff. I think.
Yeah, she's probably an enemy at some point. They use mythological creature being names all the time, so she's probably the name's probably popped up in a Final Fantasy before, but not as like a summon. I don't think.
Yeah, as a quick googling, it appears that she was at some point an NPC in 11 and an enemy in Tactics Advance in Legends 2.
Yeah,
So
there you
it
go.
has appeared as an enemy in a couple games, but doesn't sound like it was anything super major.
Yeah, and then you had the announcement of the new 24-man raid.
Oh my god, that's what I'm excited about. Yorha? Oh, Jesus Christ. As soon as I saw that picture, I was just like, fucking A. I'm excited. You guys know where it is, right? You guys know the sound.
Oh yeah, no, near Autumn.
Yeah.
I've only played a little bit of Nier Automata. I bought it. It's on my to playlist, but I've only played the first like few hours.
It's one of those you have to play it more than once because every time you play it, there's more of the story revealed, and you go and you play it from a different character's perspective. So going through it just once isn't good enough. You have to go through it more than once. But it's a very fun game. It's extremely fun. It has like all kinds of mechanics and content. It's not just a third-person action. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a very mixed genre game. Like in the first little bit, you go through some like bullet hell shooter stuff. Then you go through some more standard. I guess you could say like Bayonetta-esque fighting, even. But you still have like that gun that is like floating next to you, so you can kind of like mix melee and shooting in a sort of weird feeling fashion, but it works.
I'm just curious how they're going to fit into the lore of Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing ever. Whenever they do cross genre or cross game stuff in 14, it's like, how are you going to implement this? I mean, they have, if it's your HOD, they're automatas, they're machines, androids. So you can assume that, I can only assume that the Garleans had something to do with it. It's somewhere in the Garlean zone, and it's Machina, basically. Garlean Machina.
Or Allegan.
That too, yeah.
I mean, Elegans were a spacefaring race. They pushed a new moon up, and the whole thing in Nier Automata is supposedly humans went up to the moon and lived there and assault the Earth to try to get their land back.
Yeah.
So,
be interesting if they manage to somehow do the whole, I mean, like you go through one of the instances and you actually get like some new bits, like either story or something, multiple playthroughs. That would be pretty cool.
what would be interesting is if each of the sets of 24-man were quote unquote the same 24-man being run again through a different timeline. So, like, mimicking the New Game Plus being different when you do that, the 24-man's actually is like the new game. The second 24-man is like a New Game Plus of the first one, and then the third one is the same of the second one, but each time the story is different. Or you follow a different character or something else like that. I could see them doing something funky like that.
Yeah. Other than that, I think they did do a quick reveal of the 14-15 collaboration.
Yeah, with the mount as the car.
Yep.
That's gonna be fun. I haven't played 15 since Gladios' story, so I haven't done any of the DLC since then. And I mean, we can go on for hours, I'm sure, talking about 15. My personal disappointment with it, but I'm still very interested in getting that car mount.
I mean, I feel kind of bad because I only played that game for like a couple hours, and then I was like, whatever.
You made it a couple hours? Wow.
That's all you need is a couple hours to beat that fucking game.
Though I will admit, I did play it more than I did play. I played 13, so there's that.
Yeah, I made it about 1 hour and 13, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. Luckily, I got it on sale because I didn't play it when it first came out. I'm like, I might as well give it its fair shake, and that didn't last very long.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything from the Fan Fest. So about the only thing left to talk about is actually I think that's it. Of course, we do always. Well, I say always, but we've only done it once. But I'm trying to make a tradition. Goddammit. We always end this with some sort of top 3 lists of everybody. So let's do top 3 soundtracks in the game.
Oh my god, let me go through my do list.
I could think of 2 that jumped out at me, 2 songs that jump out at me pretty quick. One is actually the one from the Snowcloak dungeon, which is one of the patch quest dungeons in A Realm Reborn. I mean, there's nothing like super special exciting about it, but it's, I don't know, for some reason it's just a very serene song that I felt fit really well with that dungeon.
Yeah, it is nice. I like it.
The other one that jumps out at me would be the I think it's Dragon Song Answers is what it was called, but it was the one that plays when you're about to fight Nidhogg in the story in Heavensward. So you're like it showed you see Nidhogg fighting Grace Belgar, etc., and then Grace Belgar gives you their power, and you're standing there on the broken bridge, waiting in line to try to get to the actual fight. But the song that plays there is just simply epic. Like, I was in queue for 15-20 minutes, and I still didn't get tired of the song sitting there.
Was that your 3? Did you say 3?
Well, that was 2, but I mean, that's just the 2 that jump out at me immediately. I don't know that I necessarily could think of a third really quick.
So I'll do 3.5, because two of the ones I like, they're just the intro. You know how they have the intro song to the primals, and then they do the main afterwards during the first phase change. What's this water guy? Oh my god, Leviathan. Jesus, his intro music with the drums. I could do the whole dungeon just like that. I love that. And Stock, Ravana, his intro is awesome. I could do the whole dungeon like that, which is those. So that's why those 2 make up kind of one to me, because I don't really like their phase change music. I just like their intro music. Recently, out of the Stormblood, I really like the Pull of Tribute, which is Susano. Has that Japanese or East Asian kind of feel to it, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And I had another one. Oh, and of course Sephiroth, because what's his name? It's Sephiroth. Say my name. Say my name. Sephiroth.
Yep. Actually, you guys kind of did most of mine. I actually like the song during the Nidhogg fight. It was just a awesome way to end the whole Dragon Song story arc. Just a good send off for it. And then Sephiroth's theme, of course. And then after that, I almost have to say, let's see, trying to go through all the things in my head. Actually, no, I actually go with next to one two with the guy. I can't remember his name. You just said it.
Sephiroth?
No, the one in Storm. Susano, yeah, Susano's thing. It's just Susano is like one of those primals that isn't like inherently evil. He just wants to have a good time.
His good time just happens to involve trying to beat the crap out of you.
Yeah. But yeah, his theme kind of just really reflects that really well, and it's a fun little theme. So yeah, that's about everything. Either of you have any final thoughts or words want to share?
Did we talk
Nothing.
conspiracy theories on 5.0?
Oh yeah, conspiracy theories on 5. We can do that real quick. Always time for conspiracy theories.
Right. The two prevalent theories about what's going to happen are time travel and changing to a different shard. I think the shard thing's probably more likely, but there are obviously hints about time travel since we're going to when Minfilia is a kid, not when she's an adult. So does that mean that the shards are on a different pacing of time? That's possible, I guess.
Another hint that it's time travel is during the trailer in 5.0, the second one that came out during Europe Fan Fest, or maybe it was the original Fan Fest trailer, but whatever. In the line, I think it was Ishtola that was saying we must undo the calamity that just happened, right? So what does undo mean? That means go back and try for round 2, right? So that's another hint that they could be going back in time. And it may not be the same Minfilia. It could be like we were mentioning earlier. It could just be another shard Minfilia, or maybe it's that original Minfilia that came to the World of Darkness. Maybe we're the World of Darkness now.
Well, the Warriors of Darkness came from a World of Light. Actually, they changed to Warriors of Darkness because they figured out too late that light can't be the only thing. And that's so like our story is now paralleling those Warriors of Darkness.
Yep.
And there's definitely an interesting line that Ishtola said in that second trailer, which was, "Until our friend returns, I will hold the line." And that one can go either way too, because it could be is that current Ishtola somehow with her vision back, saying she's going to hold the line for us to fix the thing in the other shard and come back with a solution. Or did we go to the past, and that's what she says when we end up coming back to our time? And because she knows she will meet us either in Gridania or in Waking Sands, depending on which area you start in. Because you told her that, like, I will meet you in the future, but you will see me before I know you. So, like, it could lend credence to either the shard theory or the timeline theory. The time travel theory, I should say.
What about her being called Master Matoya by Urianshe? Do you think Matoya dies and Ishtola takes the mantle of Master Matoya from her as kind of a mother to daughter kind of send off, or do you think she becomes the original Matoya?
Not unheard of for names to be used as titles.
Right.
Like, the 3 explanations I could think of are, well, 2 I thought of and 1 that I found online. The one is she's using it like a title, and she's just inherited that title. 2, this is from a time, like, either, this comes like with the time travel thing. It's in a timeline where she's not well known or respected, and she's just using the name because that name is known and respected, and so she's like using it to gain clout. Or the crazy theory I heard, which I don't think is true, but is the theory that because Ishtola is not in her body at the moment, her soul's been pulled away, when Matoya dies, she temporarily binds herself to Ishtola's body in order to help out until Ishtola returns.
That's a good one. I like that theory the best. Because Matoya knows about the what Ishtola did, right? About going into the ether.
Yeah, and she's the only one, as far as I know, that has called out that she knows that Ishtola is burning herself in order to see.
And she knows that somebody mentioned that their bodies are shellless. There's nothing
right
there. So maybe
Matoya would also
does
explain how Ishtola mystically immediately becomes a black mage instead of a white mage. Or a conjurer, I guess. Not technically a white mage.
I like that one. That actually leans more toward having credence than anything else.
So,
Yuri on Jay wouldn't
oh, go ahead, Nick.
call. No, I'm just saying because Yuri on Jay is very professional, right? He wouldn't call Ishtola if she wasn't a Matoya. She would call Matoya if it was Matoya. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. He's the only way he can do a ruse is by keeping his damn mouth shut, which is what he did during the World of Darkness arc, or Warriors of Darkness arc. He was there, but he kept his mouth shut.
So, what I think is that the expansion, we are not at all going to go to Garlemald. I think it will circle, we will actually go to the original Warrior Darkness Shard. Because what I think is that there will basically, Solus is going to do his little Dark Rose plan and cause another calamity. And calamities happen because a shard gets destroyed. Now we know the Warrior Darkness' shard wasn't completely destroyed, and that's why Menphelia went over there, is because she was going to go over there to try to get rid of the excess light. Well, I think we're going to go over there to try to stop that so we can stop the calamity that Solus is trying to cause. Basically, one can't happen without the other, so if we stop that shard from being destroyed, the calamity won't be able to, fire off.
right. So the worlds are connected somehow, right? Even though they're two different shards or whatever, they're all connected to Heidelin, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right, and that might actually be where the excess light is coming from, is the fact that that shard is falling to light, not darkness, and becoming more of the void like the other ones.
From what I understand, each calamity represents a shard not necessarily being destroyed so much as being merged back to the source. So if we are the theoretical source world, like the core one that things get merged back into, and a calamity happens and it merges a world of light into a world where we've already made light pretty strong, that could easily, catastrophically chain react, where our world ends up flooded with light because we merged a world that has a lot of light with a world that is just light.
And causes a calamity.
So do you think in that case the Warrior of Light, which is us, do you think we get transported to that other world via the ether, just like Ishtola, because they said their bodies are shellless, but there's something there. It's not shouldn't be possible. So do you think they all got transported to that world of darkness?
Yep, and the main reason why their bodies stayed behind, because it is the Warrior Darkness mentions that transferring to different shards, you can't bring your body with you. You have to use the power of the echo to bring your spirit over, and then my thought is that either we pull they have somebody there willing to sacrifice themselves so we can inhabit that body. And of course with the echo, when a spirit with the echo inhabits a body, they just become themselves essentially. We saw it happen way back in 2.0 with the Sahagin.
Okay, so let's put this piece together. So Iriange calls the Ishtola body Matoya.
And I think it is actually Matoya.
Yeah, so we think it's Master Matoya using the ether to jump into Ishtola's body. And when she mentions we will hold the line until our friend returns, the friend that they're talking about is the Warrior of Light, because the Warrior of Light has left this Heidelin to the other World of Darkness to help them out to undo their calamity.
Right, in the hopes to prevent a calamity happening on our plane, which is the source. And that's why we become the Warrior Darkness, because being a Warrior Light in a world being devoured by light is not going to help. So we become the Warrior of Darkness to try to bring balance back to that shard and keep it from being destroyed. In the hopes of preventing the calamity that I think Solus is lining up with the Black Rose and using the light, the flood of light, as some sort of catalyst to make it horrible and wide-ranging.
So that to me, that sounds like the kind of thing that happens around the climax of the expansion. So I'm wondering if part of the leveling story might be us finding a way to get there. Because we know from the trust system that Matoya Ishtola is one of the people that we bring with us on those dungeons. So perhaps our leveling experience is trying to figure out how we can get ourselves to the shard, since we don't know how to do that. Like, we know Heidelin can make it happen, but we don't know how to do it ourselves.
You know what? Maybe the new areas in the new expansion isn't actually new areas. They're just rescanned Gridania and Oldab, like Dark. Like they're failed, like they're overrun with monsters. You know what I mean? That could be where
that could be right? too. Although we'd have to figure out how do we end up with Matoya Ishtola over there, helping us with those dungeons.
Maybe they're not over there. Maybe they're here. They remain an original.
Oh, like
world.
we're leveling in the bad timeline.
Yeah.
And then once we fix it, everything ends up going back to normal.
Yeah, and that'll be the prelude to the next expansion, 6.0, right? Going back to the original.
Yeah, I think what will happen is that 6.0 will actually be the marching on Garlemald. Basically, we're having to prevent this calamity from happening, so that stops us in our tracks. We get to, like, the forest that the, I'm just losing my words. Yeah, the Viera are at, which is like, that's the start of like Garlean territory, or you have to go through there to get to the Garleans. So I think we get stopped there because we have to deal with this stuff. And then in the next expansion, we keep marching onward.
I like your theory crafting. I like it. It actually makes sense within the Final Fantasy world too, in the universe and how things work out.
Yeah. Also,
and it would make more sense. It would make more sense to have the Nier Automata 24-man raid, because it's all dark, right? In the Yorha world, or the Nier Automata world, it's the planet was enveloped in darkness.
Yeah, and I think I can't explain the Montoya thing, but I think that the other folks that got called are over there and already have bodies. That's why Thancred is over there protecting Minfilia, and I think she just got a new form because, again, your body can't go with you, so she just took a new form, and for some reason decided, hey, I'll be a kid, or maybe she didn't get to choose, who knows. But he actually says in the trailer, this city has changed and not for the better. So I think he's in one of the cities in that shard that's just been infested with light, essentially, and monsters.
And since he has the Echo, whatever body he went into would have become him, as opposed to staying the way it was.
And it could be a reincarnated Minfilia. It doesn't have to be exactly her. It could just be a...
True.
It could be that she like reincarnated into a kid and had to start growing up again, because it's been... Well, actually, I don't know. How long has it been since the Warriors of Darkness stuff has actually happened? Has it only been like a few months? Has it been a couple years?
I don't know. This MMO timelines are always off.
Yeah.
It could literally be like a couple weeks.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we only saved a couple different worlds in a couple weeks. But we went through a whole war campaign in Stormblood, so that stuff's not fast. That's got to be at least a few months. It just wouldn't make sense to make it any tighter than that.
But yeah, that's my theory anyway.
I like the theories. I like the theory that we came up with. Just have to wait and see.
And one thing I know, Yoshi P. Now, it could be a thing where it's just because there's some sort of connection, since Matoya is in God, I can't remember her name. I'm losing my words. Y'shtola. Since she is in Y'shtola's body, maybe there's some weird connection. And because when it says, "Oh yeah, Y'shtola's a black mage," Yoshi P didn't say that. Yoshi P said she looks like a black mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
God knows what that means, right?
Yeah, because Y'shtola is a white mage. You can't. Y'shtola is obviously a brilliant individual, but she can't switch. She's not the warrior of light. She can't switch jobs, right?
Well, we've had job switches. I mean,
with the main NPCs.
Yeah, a little bit. We had. We have a job change with Thancred. He is essentially a rogue, and he's going Gunblader or Gunbreaker, I guess.
Well, remember in our theory crafting, that includes him going to that other world.
True, but yeah, like I said, there is precedent for it, but I think maybe there's a connection, and because of that, Y'shtola, I think maybe she'll have a little bit of white magic too, so she'll still be able to use like maybe attack spells from it, and that's why she's not a black mage. She uses a bit of like the attack magic from both. That's what my theory is going to be. I mean, when you have the fight with her in 4.4, when you play as her, she doesn't really, I mean, she probably has other skills that they just didn't include because, wanted to keep it simple, but she had mostly attack spells. She had one heal.
Yeah, but hers was like a holy on steroids.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to consider that white mages slash conjure, they actually have a lot of attack spells, really.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe like basically somehow she picked, because Matoya's inhabiting her real body, she like gets a little bit of transfer of abilities, sort of. So she comes like, I don't know, like a sage or something.
Oh, maybe it's a hint at a new job. Geomancer. There you go. That's where see, okay. So you think Geomancer is going to be the next job? I mean, it's hinted in Stormblood. They talk about Geomancer in astrology.
There is a lot of hints of it.
Stormblood relates it back to astrology, though, where they're saying it's like two sides of the same coin of an art. But then again, that could just mean it's a healer, Like,
yeah, and so and with our theory crafting, we're talking about time travel a little bit, right? That's one of our theories, that they go back to undo the calamity.
Oh, right, and Geomancer is old art that's mostly dead now.
But yeah, that could be it. Or maybe dance. Maybe they'll give in to people and just give them Dancer.
I'm sure they will eventually. I'm not sure, but it'd be cool. I mean, the more jobs, the better, right? But it leaves less jobs for them on the next expansion.
They should do Dancer with chakrams. That'll be the thing, like throwing weapons.
Yeah.
I think from the next round, what I want something really weird, just to make it interesting. I want a magical tank and a physical healer.
That's what people thought the new in Heaven's Ward. They thought that the new job was going to be a gun mage. They thought it was going to be because I'm not forgot what game it's in, but there is a Final Fantasy game where you shoot bullets of heal.
Well, it's Final Fantasy Tactics. You had chemists. They didn't shoot healing bullets. They just got they can actually use healing items at range, where everybody else you can use it just like one square away. But their main weapon was a gun.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, that chemist would be kind of cool. You could give them, like, they would have healing abilities, but they would be like, it's like where alchemists get nice fancy laboratories that they get super crazy ingredients and can get special tools. Chemists are like battlefield medics. They have to make do with what they got and keep everybody up. And then if they actually don't have to do that, they use their rifle to take pot shot to help support the frontline fighters.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Whatever they do, they always seem to make it fun. So.
But that's actually theorizing for anything past. I guess talking about the healer, because anybody else not think the other class is going to be a healer?
Well, they usually do one of each, right? At the least.
Right. I was gonna say, like, the only way that there's a non-healer class is if they also have a healer and they go up to 3 new classes. But I think it's probably only going to be 2. It's pretty much got to be tank healer. And the 2 main options for healer are Geomancer, which has already been established as being similar to another healing class in lore, or Dancer, which would be, I guess it would be closer to Astrologist in terms of role, in that it would probably be a buffing healer. And I think it'd be interesting to see how they balance that out, or maybe they just give every healer a couple key buffs.
though I never played it in 11, but in Tactics it was a debuffer, so maybe he's basically a healer that helps out by making enemies hit less hard.
Well, with Final Fantasy 14, they completely took out debuffing bosses. Like, you can't debuff bosses.
Which is silly.
Well, there are very specific ones you can do, like Reprisal and Dismantle. But, like, they've made it so that those aren't necessary, per se.
But not the mains like Poison, Stun, Slow. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, the normal debuffs, that's the normal status effects. I think when he says debuffs, he's more referring to things like they deal less damage for 6 seconds and crap like that. Stuff that doesn't affect what they do, it just affects how effective what they do is.
Yeah, stat reductions.
Right. But then again, you have to be careful with that, because if the current meta is any indication, if they have a class like that, that is going to be the meta healer, bar none.
Or it would be another limited job.
Please no.
I think, pretty sure they've talked that the next limited job, if they do another one, is going to be Beastmaster. But you never know; they could change that.
I think. Well, I didn't say like yes, it will be, but they said that could be a possibility. I think they said.
Right. I think that's more them just wanting to be able to change their minds up. And point to saying, "Hey, we didn't actually say for sure."
You know, like how they said the one of the funniest arguments, they end up doing it finally, but one of the funniest arguments I saw on the forums back in the day is people saying, "You said you were going to make the primal ponies fly." It's like, they never said that.
Right.
It's like they said they're going to make Karen fly, and then somehow that became, oh, all the primal ponies are going to fly. It's like, no, that didn't happen.
Although I gotta say, it was a little silly at one point when I realized that Behemoth mount could fly.
What really kind of put the nail in the coffin with that for me was the fucking Cloud's motorcycle. Like, seriously, it doesn't even sprout wings or anything. It just
randomly
rolls
flies.
in the air.
No.
At least the car has a transformation.
Yeah. So how can it fly? Ooh, ether. Oh, okay.
Oh, man, that means the Final Fantasy 15 crossover car is going to fly too.
Oh yeah, no, it shows in
Yeah,
the trailer,
is it-
but it transforms though, so it looks like it should fly.
Yeah, it actually like has wings and little jet engines in the back, I think. But yeah,
They totally should have just done the Back to the Future wheel turn thing.
and it flies in 15 too. Once you get enough upgrades for it.
No. Well, that's what I get for not playing it. Enough.
But still, a motorcycle that just and a behemoth that just.
Yeah, the Behemoth just runs in the air. It doesn't even. It looks really stupid. And then there's the T-Rex that you get from Anemos that flies as well. Doesn't sprout wings. It just runs in the air.
Well, okay. Any other final thoughts before we bring this to a close?
Only for me that tomorrow is the last bird farm that we'll be doing, and going forward in March we'll probably start the dog farm, which means Stormblood primals, which hopefully we get a lot of turnout for that. After that, I personally will be a lot busier. I'll be starting a new job. Me and Sassy will have to finalize our marriage, and we'll be buying a house, so may not be a lot of events during the months of April, May, and June, but I'll try. So that's why I want to see if I can pack a lot in March.
That should certainly be interesting. You said the bird farm tomorrow is starting with
Sephiroth.
the triad or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't had to go do the normal mode of that. Since I joined in 4.4, I haven't actually gone and done those because those were side content.
Yeah, take care of it. It's really cool. It's very fun. Sephiroth's my most favorite fight, bar none, for me.
But I got to do normal first so that I can get the EX and actually join for the farm.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you both joining on the Circlecast, and We will, I guess we'll probably do this again maybe after, or maybe once the final, was it 4.56, whatever they're calling it, the next story bit comes out. And after the Japanese Fan Fest, so we got stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so
we have 4.57, I believe, right? So there's 2 more small chunks of story that are supposed to come, I think.
So end of March should be good, yeah. Like March 30th, 31st for the next one.
Yep, sounds good. Well, see you folks then.
Bye-bye.